You talked about Kara in the league. Minnesota 5-2 atop the standings. Roy Copayan is our crew chief. Agana Paz, WNBA player to reach that milestone. And Mo Billings with the first take in her return to Golden State. This year, can't get it that time. Burton with a strong take off the glass and count it. He's looking for Stokes, taps it to Charles, who finishes it all between these two teams. Burton driving, back and forth we go. Caitlin Clark, the #1 pace in the first field goal, 5 points for Clark. Backdoor cut, Stokes with the reverse. Cross-court pass, Andalusini. Back to Burton for 3, and she connects. Stokes on her, trying to lean in. Cunningham to Johnson. Off the glass is good with 9 seconds on the shot clock. That's a fire, and it rattles home. And Hayes letting one go. She saw Salon. Johnson driving, penetrating. Salon for 3. The touches for Salon and muscles her way through Cunningham for the 2. On the glass, Kelsey Mitchell's first points. Kick out to Gabby Williams, 7 seconds to work with. Drives against Caitlin Clark and finishes.
Juxtapose that with their first play of the game where she settled for the 3, right? And so Williams, they should be able to not only just hold down the 4, but make big contributions with Boston out here.
Williams finding Charles, can't get it. Another opportunity. The best offensive rebounding team. Oh, what a strong take. Timpson has been a force off the bench. Inside a minute left to play here in the first half. Count it. Body bucket and 1 for Kelsey Mitchell. About a 10-second differential. Clark to Hines Allen. To Timpson. Back to Mitchell in the paint, and she gets another one. Her first points of
she really emerged as like a player that can become a superstar in this league for years to come.
Burton with the crossover against Billings. I said
she's guarding Billings, who's in the corner. And so that puts her in position to do just that. Mitchell comes off, and now there's an extra defender as Hull hits that 3.
Tite fires. Oh, she's a microwave. 21 for the Valkyries. Do you expect anything less than the physicality that we saw last Friday? 90 seconds to play here in the third quarter. Back to Thompson, catch, shoots, fires, hits.
Leo's back.
Burton up against Caitlin Clark, and now she's got 19 points, a new season high.
In the middle of the floor, just uses some elevation and athleticism to get that up.
Williams driving, penetrating, gets it to fall. Ties it at 69. She's got a 21-point game.
3 seconds on the shot clock.
Here comes Gabby Williams leading the break over to Burton, who finishes it off. Clark, her turn to try, but Burton gets her. Oh, she went up to the summit and swatted it.
This is a situation where Kelsey Mitchell is really going to have to take control offensively.
This is time without Caitlin Clark, and Boston with a so important 3-point make for the Fever. Williams takes the handoff, pulls up for 15 feet and trains it. She's got a career-high night. 16 points.
What a great...
Johnson to Mitchell, look at that quickness. Oh, sends it back, Stokes. What a pass to Stokes for the finish.
Possession game here late.
Clark, she's been sitting for a while, but she's got the hot hand. Mitchell finding her own pace. Boston comes up with the offensive rebound, going right at Stokes for 2. Free throws give Golden State the lead, right back. Clark looking for Boston. Stokes taps it away. Here's Salon, the 1-triple baseline jumper. It's good. Here comes Williams, out ahead of traffic to Salon. Finishes it off. Here's Clark getting double teamed. Cunningham drives and scores, and it's a 1-point game. Clark has it, trailing by 2 to Boston at the post. Boston trying to spin out of that double team, can't get it, the ball's loose. Time is ticking. A jump ball call.
Too late for Boston to get it out.
1.2, Cunningham has it, Clark calls a quick timeout. Here's the tie, Boston couldn't get it. Gotta look at it, but the Valkyries survive.
The Indiana Fever defeat the Valkyries for the first time after last season getting swept by them in a game that I really wanted the Indiana Fever to win. Caitlin Clark was back in the lineup, and this thing at one point turned into the Caitlin Clark versus Tiffany Hayes duel. And man, it was competitive. They were talking junk to each other. They were firing up. It was physical. They were letting each other have it. And at the end of the day, Caitlin got the better of the situation, finished the game with 22 points, 9 boards, looking every bit like the MVP candidate that she is.
ESPN can talk about the numbers. The box score can show the final result. But what happened when Caitlin Clark faced the Golden State Valkyries was bigger than 22 points, 9 assists, and 4 made threes. This was the night the other side finally had to say the quiet part out loud. They tried to speed her up. They tried to get physical. They tried to throw different defensive looks at her. They tried to drag her into a street fight. And after all of that, Valkyries coach Natalie Nakasi still had to stand in front of a microphone and admit the truth.
What did Indiana do to get Caitlin Clark going?
I think a lot, obviously, in transition, she flows really well, and then setting, a ton of ball screens. But we had, I think, a good coverage. I thought we had a good game plan. I just thought they were the more physical team. This is to me, they did play harder than us, which again, that's who we are. We usually fight, with more physicality. We fight more together, and I think this game, give credit to Fever. They were ready. They were ready for the battle.
Caitlin Clark was unstoppable because this was not just a regular season win for the Indiana Fever. This was a response, a statement, a warning shot to the rest of the league that if you give Caitlin Clark a reason, she will make you regret it. And Golden State gave her plenty. Before we even get to the second half, you have to understand the pressure Clark was carrying into this game.
So that was a lot of fun. The Indiana Fever showed a lot of fight against the Golden State Valkyries because the Valkyries came out, they're a team, they have length, they have athleticism, they were hacking a little bit, and the Fever fought through it. Caitlin Clark fought through it. She had struggled against the Valkyries last year, not in this one. She's been hitting the logo bombs, she's diming people up, got the support from Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell. As always, Sophie Cunningham was good off the bench. Raven Johnson made a nice impression in her minutes, and it was nice to see the Fever fight and come away with a win.
The week leading into it had already been messy. There were questions about her injury timeline. There were narratives online. There were people trying to twist the story around when she knew she was out, when her family knew, and when the public found out. Clark addressed it directly.
Can you just take us through your Tuesday and Wednesday, both regarding
I was hoping you were going to ask. Okay.
your practice and back?
So I woke up. Tuesday, I was here. I got treatment, as I've done many practices before, as many of my teammates have done. Had every intention of playing. Didn't indicate I wasn't going to play. Approached Wednesday, if that was the day of our game, as I was 100% playing. Woke up Tuesday, felt a little sore. Texted our training staff, texted my personal physio. Then do you want to know what I ate for breakfast too? So then I had a filet, I had 2 eggs over medium, I had potatoes and 2 blueberry waffles with butter and syrup. Then I had PT at home. Then I came down here about 1 o'clock and we tried to do everything we can, got on the court, I lifted, went through a hard workout. And I actually went back and looked, because of all these narratives that are going crazy online, about when I told my mom I wasn't gonna play the game. 4:47 and you guys found out at 5:20. So one of the most important people in my life found out 40 minutes before you guys. So that's what my 2 days leading up to that Wednesday game looked like.
She explained that even one of the most important people in her life, her own mother, only found out shortly before the public did. In other words, the idea that there was some long, hidden cover-up did not make sense. The timeline was too tight. The facts did not support it. But the damage had already been done. Once a narrative gets repeated enough, people start treating it like truth. And Clark looked like someone who was done letting other people define the story for her. That matters, because great players do not just respond with words. They respond with the ball in their hands. And against the Valkyries, Clark walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse with that edge.
What a game. The Indiana Fever have finally beaten the Golden State Valkyries. And this game, you could cut the tension with a knife. It was chippy. It almost felt kind of like a powder keg that could explode at any moment. There were a lot of fouls, and each team was given 2 techs. That is 4 techs for the entire game, including one that Caitlin had no idea about. Actually, Stephanie White also had no idea about, and they talked about it in the post-game presser.
Happened in that chippy moment with Solana at halftime that led to the double text.
I was just trying. Oh, did I get a technical?
You did.
Oh, no way. That just makes sense for the rest of the game, so I'm not surprised. Wow. Wow, I could have got ejected. I should have been over 6 in the second half. Okay, well, guess I have some fines coming my way. And flagrant. Wow, you're paying a lot. Well.
Not wild, not out of control, but focused. Angry in the way great competitors get angry, where every little thing becomes fuel. Golden State had a plan. They knew they could not let her get comfortable. They wanted to make her work for every touch. They wanted to bother her, crowd her, hit her with pressure, and force the Fever into uncomfortable possessions.
Things got a little edgy there right before halftime. Salute to Caitlin for standing up for herself and not taking any stuff from the Valkyries. Man, I don't think this was one of these situations where girls are hating on Caitlin. I feel like this was just Caitlin going after the ball. The girl hit her with a chicken wing. The girl should have let Caitlin foul her. Maybe they would have went to the line and got some cheap free throws. I do not think this has anything to do with girls hating on Caitlin. I did not get any of that from the Valkyries today, man. I just got that they're a tough team. Not like a tough as like the Raiders or the, Detroit Pistons, but they're a tough, solid team. They play the right way. They're a very, very good team.
For a while, it felt like the game was heading in that direction. It was physical. It was tense. It had that feeling where every bump and every stare carried a little extra weight. And that tension finally boiled over before halftime. Clark went after a loose ball with Janelle Salon, and suddenly, it was not just a basketball play anymore. Salon got into Clark's face. Clark did not back away. The two had words. The benches started to react. Players had to step in before it turned into something bigger.
Now here we go on the other side. We got Tiffany Hayes taking it to the rack here. Tiffany Hayes taking it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Takes it to the rack on Caitlin Clark. Starts clapping in Caitlin Clark's face. Jaws at her right after. Jaws at her right after. At this point, do you know what Caitlin Clark said? And I'm going to bring back our good old friend, someone who we miss dearly. Do you know what Caitlin Clark said here?
Was, hey coach, they woke a monster.
They woke a monster. You're damn right, Christy. You are damn right. What did she say here?
I just tried to keep her spirits. The thing she said was, hey coach, they woke a monster.
They woke a monster. Yeah, they woke the monster. they woke demon time, Caitlin Clark. They woke up. Oh, this. Caitlin Clark. They woke up. Oh, you're gonna clap in my face? Caitlin Clark. They woke up the wrong side. You want to keep her calm. You want to keep her calm. You want to keep her passive. You don't want to get her too fired up. You don't want to get her too charged up. Because that's when the Mamba part of her comes out. That's when the I'm going to slit your neck part of Caitlin Clark on the basketball court, of course. I'm going to kill you on the court. Caitlin Clark comes out. I'm going to crush everything you love on the court. Caitlin Clark. That's when it comes out.
The officials handed out double technicals, one to Clark, one to Salon, and that moment changed the entire temperature of the game. Because here is the thing about Caitlin Clark. She does not need the game to be calm. She does not need everybody to like her. She does not need the defense to play nice. In fact, sometimes the more chaotic it gets, the more dangerous she becomes. That double technical did not take her out of the game mentally. It switched her on.
Oh, you hate to see it. Caitlin Clark, logo threes, FU threes, 3-level score, taking it to the rack, mid-range fadeaways, FUs. Love to see it. Her and Tiffany Hayes going head-to-head, face-to-face at half court. Caitlin Clark pulling up from long range. Tiffany Hayes turning around, looking at CC. Caitlin Clark says, let's go. Me and you right now. And as soon as that occurred, Tiffany Hayes couldn't hit a layup for the rest of the game. As soon as that moment transpired, Tiffany Hayes was too worried about sticking it to CC. She forgot how to play basketball. Ooh, it was bad.
Golden State probably thought they were dragging her into their kind of fight. But what they actually did was give her the emotional spark she needed. And when the second half started, Clark came out like a completely different problem. She brought the ball up the floor. The game was tight. The crowd was waiting. The defense was trying to settle in. Clark did not wait. She stepped into a deep three from way beyond the arc and buried it. That was the moment, not just because of the shot, but because of what it said. After all the noise, after the physicality, after the double technical, after the injury narrative, after everything that had been building around her, Clark pulled up from another postcode and reminded everyone who they were dealing with. And she was not done. After that shot, she turned toward Tiffany Hayes and talked right back. That part matters. Because Hayes is not some random player. She is a veteran. She is tough. She has been around the league. She knows how to compete. And Clark looked completely comfortable standing in that moment and giving it back. That is what people miss when they only talk about Clark as a shooter. Yes, the logo threes are ridiculous. Yes, the passing is elite. Yes, the range changes the geometry of the floor, but the real problem is her nerve. She does not shrink when the moment gets loud. She gets sharper.
This is the junior goon squad to last year's Tina Charles, Marina Mabry-led Connecticut Sun. That is what the Golden State Valkyries tried to turn into with Caitlin Clark, but it did not matter because my demon was on timing and she tore him up. We got to get into Maisha Hines-Allen on this one. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. We got to get into it. So there was a few mix-ups here in this game versus the Golden State Valkyries. And what I noticed and what many people noticed was Maisha Hines-Allen was not hesitant. She was sprinting front and center. Who said what? Who trying to do what? Who trying to touch 22? What you want to do? We love that. We love that because for so long we watched Caitlin Clark get targeted and get flagrantly fouled, people poking her in the eye, people knocking her to the floor when the game is not even in play, and none of her teammates would step up and defend her. That's a part of the reason why Sophie Cunningham went up to 1 million followers overnight, because we saw, okay, she understands the benefits that she's gonna get coming to play with Caitlin Clark, the style of play, all of the off the court stuff, but at least she's willing to do her part and protect the GOAT. That's part of the reason why we love Sophie Cunningham, and that's just a fact.
From there, Indiana started to look like the version of the Fever that should scare people. Clark was not just hunting shots. She was controlling the entire game. She was reading coverages. She was finding the gaps. She was forcing Golden State to make impossible choices. Step up too high and she finds the roll. Drop too far and she shoots. Overhelp and she hits the open player. Stay home and she attacks the mismatch.
Let's start. Caitlin Clark, 22 points, 9 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 stocks. Caitlin Clark through 57 games is more points than Diana Taurasi, more assists than anyone, more threes than anyone, witnessing a legendary run. And so far, Caitlin Clark this season, 3rd in points per game at 23.8, 1st in assists, and 1st in 3-pointers made. Looking at the box score for the Valkyrie, it was bad.
That is why Nakasi's post-game comments mattered so much. Because coaches can live with one great shot maker. They can build schemes around taking away one action. But Clark is not just one action. She is the system. And Golden State found that out the hard way. Clark finished with 22 points, 9 assists, and 4 threes. But the numbers do not fully explain the pressure she put on the Valkyries. Every possession felt like Golden State had to guess. And when they guessed wrong, Clark punished them. The biggest winner from that was Aaliyah Boston. Boston had a monster game. 20 points, 16 rebounds, 8 made shots. She controlled the paint, cleaned the glass, and gave Indiana the inside force they needed. But what made it even more important was how connected she looked with Clark. That Clark-Boston partnership is the Fever's ceiling. When Clark is getting downhill, pulling defenders out of position, and delivering the ball on time, Boston becomes a nightmare. She does not have to force touches. She does not have to create everything from a standstill. She can catch it in rhythm, seal deep, finish strong, and punish the defense for paying too much attention to Clark. That is the part the rest of the league has to worry about. Because when Clark is only scoring, she is dangerous. But when Clark is scoring and unlocking Boston, the Fever becomes something much bigger. They become a team with structure, balance, inside-out pressure, and a real identity. That is what Nakasi had to admit after the game. Golden State had a plan. They had effort. They had physicality. They had defenders willing to make Clark uncomfortable. And still, it did not work. Because Caitlin Clark adjusted. She found the weak spots. She found the passing windows. She found the moments to strike. That is what separates a great shooter from a great engine. A shooter can get hot. An engine changes everything around her. And right now, that is what Clark is becoming for the Fever. This win was not just about Indiana beating Golden State 90-82. It was about what the game revealed. Clark can take the hit. She can take the noise. She can take the trash talk. She can take the media storm. And still come out in the second half and control the entire building. That is why this game felt different. It was not perfect. It was not clean. It was not some easy highlight reel against a team that gave up. It was messy, physical, emotional. And Clark still bent the game in her direction. That is what stars do. But more importantly, that is what franchise players do. They do not just survive pressure, they turn it into separation. And the Valkyries learned that lesson in real time. They tried to make Caitlin Clark uncomfortable. Instead, they woke her up. And once she got rolling, even their own coach had no choice but to admit it. Caitlin Clark is unstoppable. And if this is the version of Clark the Fever are getting now, angry, healthy, locked in, talking back, hitting from deep, and feeding Aaliyah Boston in rhythm, the rest of the WNBA has a real problem. Because this does not look like a player trying to find herself. This looks like a player who already knows exactly who she is, and now the league is being forced to deal with it. If you're still watching, drop unstoppable in the comments.